children of the night, what music they make.
Who said that?
Dracula.
Yeah, let's leave that to him. Hey guys, it's Matt and Amanda with Schorr Manor back for our next podcast episode, and this episode is going to be about one of the best, if not the best, parts of Halloween, which is, of course, costumes.
That's high marks for something, too, because a lot of Halloween is pretty darn great.
Yeah, but there would be no Halloween without costumes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, to start out with, we are fans of the couples/family themed costumes.
It's true.
When we first started out, our first Halloween that we celebrated together back in 2009, we were Uhura and Kirk from the 1960s Star Trek series.
That's right.
And that was the year that the latest Star Trek franchise came out with the first movie, which I think was just titled Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And Matt had always grown up being a fan of Star Trek. I am a fan of Bruce Greenwood, who, if you do not know who that is, you should go look him up and watch all of his movies because he's an amazing actor. But specifically in that movie, he was Commander Pike. And so Matt, we had been dating for about 4 months, and Matt was like, I really want to see Star Trek. And I was like, I can't wait to see Star Trek. And he was like, really?
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to drag you to that movie.
He did. It turns out I think I wanted to see it more than him.
I don't know about that. That's a toss-up.
So this would be the first year that we did the trunk or treat with my church, and we wanted costumes that really no one else would have. And the 2009 Uhura's dress was a bit revealing.
Well, so was the 60s version.
Well, for a church. I mean, the 60s version was long-sleeved and came down, like, almost to my knees.
Well, fair enough.
So, the 2009 version had no sleeves, and the dress part of it came way up mid-thigh.
Yeah.
Which, where we live, it's not a good idea to wear anyway because it's always freezing on Halloween. So, and then it gets back up to like the 90s in November because that makes sense. But
welcome to the South, right?
Yeah. So that was our first Halloween, and Matt actually made a USS Enterprise out of like, was it cardboard and construction, like poster board?
Yeah.
To use as like a backdrop. And we cut out some stars and glued those like taped them to the top of my trunk.
Yep.
Because it was our first year doing trunk or treat, and we weren't sure, if everybody would decorate the actual trunk or whatever. Yeah, so it didn't work out super well. But
I think we put more effort than anybody else there.
We did.
Our whole production.
We did. That was the year that Matt carved 3 different pumpkins, real pumpkins, into jack-o'-lanterns. And so, anyways, I'm going off on a tangent, and this is supposed to be about costumes. But I did have some black boots that I wore, and I also wore leggings underneath just because it was so cold. So my advice to anyone out there, if you've grown up here, you're probably used to your parents making you dress in layered clothing anyway. But if you're new to this area, make sure you put on some layers underneath your costume if it's not something that's going to be warm, because you will freeze. And I believe, was that the year that we went to your friend's Halloween party?
Yes, we did. We went out to my friend's house out in
One of Matt's friends loves Halloween just as much as we do, and she's super creative and puts together this huge Halloween party every year. And so we were excited to actually get to go to a party as a couple, and a lot of people thought our costumes were very creative, and I don't think we saw anyone else either that night or on Halloween night dressed up from Star Trek. So we were pretty excited about that because we wanted to do something out there, and we were definitely like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
So
I think we were the only couple's costumes out there. I don't recall any other ones.
I mean, like that. I mean, both my parents had on Cookie Monster shirts, but
But was that really a couple's costume, would you say? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
So our next Halloween that we were together for, we were Supergirl. I was Supergirl, and he was actually the Green Arrow.
Yes.
Because if you know anything about Superman and Supergirl, you will know they are cousins.
Superman and Supergirl are cousins.
Right.
Sorry.
Isn't that what I said?
You did. Sorry. It came across weird to me, like it sounded like Green Arrow and Supergirl were cousins.
And,
But...
you know, I know we're from Kentucky, but...
Oh.
Anyways, no, we love our home state. So that was a fun costume as well, trying to find one that was a little bit more appropriate for a church.
Supergirl ran into the same problems that Uber did.
Yeah. So I ended up finding one. I actually got it in Metropolis for any of you guys that go out and celebrate Superman at the Superman celebration. I did get my costume there at the Superstore.
So even then, we were planning way ahead.
Yeah, well, we had been planning that since, like, the previous year. We were already talking about what we would do the next year because everybody loved our costumes.
Yes.
And so, Matt, what you had...
I think I had to order mine special from a designer in China. It's the one and only time I have done anything like this. I had to, like, take a picture of myself and email it to this person, and then they designed the costume according to that, plus the my size.
Like his measurements and everything.
Yeah, provided all that to him, and it did a really fantastic job. That thing fit comfortably too. It wasn't snug or anything. The only problem with it was like this.
Breathe.
It didn't breathe at all, and I mean it was
Which
chilly.
is usually
but
good because, you know, of it being cold. But yeah, he was actually sweating quite a bit.
Yeah. So when I'm sweating that hard in when sun's down and fall, it's pretty hot in that thing.
He actually ordered a custom made cape for this outfit. And he never put it on because he was freezing. So I ended up he was so hot and I was freezing. So I ended up wearing like his green cape over my Supergirl outfit with like a blanket around me. And then, like, this cape actually lives at my in-laws' house, and a lot of times I still sleep under it because I'm quite a bit shorter than him, so it fits me perfectly like a blanket. So I will get it a lot of times at their house out of the closet and sleep under it because it's so, like, nice and warm.
And one of the other things that I remember about that costume was this was before the popular Arrow series came out on CW.
Yeah, it was.
So most people had no idea who I was. I think maybe 2 or 3 people looked at me and said, Green Arrow, and I gave them extra candy.
Yeah. Most of them said Green Lantern.
Yeah,
so
that really hurt my feelings.
But this was a fun Halloween because we had just gotten engaged.
That's right.
About a month before. So it was a very fun Halloween. We were already planning like the next Halloween and what we would do, you know, depending on where we lived and if we had a house and, you know, which as you guys know, we didn't. We ended up moving and lived in an apartment, but we went to Halloween Express like the day that we got my ring sized.
Yep.
Because it was near the ring store and we were like, oh, we should get this when we're married and we should get that. And it was just it was a fun Halloween for us.
It was good.
And so then Matt ended up having to work pretty much every other Halloween. There was one more.
There was at least one that we got back to Mayfield.
Yes, it was our first married Halloween. I forgot about this. And we decided to go. Matt was, of course, Clark Kent. He did the white, like, button-up shirt that was unbuttoned part way, and you could see the Superman shirt underneath, and he was wearing a tie. I was just dressed up, and Matt actually made us fake, like, press badges, and so mine said Lois Lane. Yep. And then our friend Drew, that you guys have heard on here, was Jimmy Olsen, and he, like, wore a bow tie, and he had a press badge and everything as well.
And I got to put that tie on him. So Drew and I got very, very personal that year.
Yeah, I think it took like over an hour to figure out how to tie the bow tie.
Yeah, the less said about that experience, the better, quite honestly.
It was a real bow tie.
Yep, that took a lot of work.
Yeah, it's probably like my least favorite of the costumes we did, just because nobody really got it.
They got me.
They got him, and you wouldn't think it would be that much of a stretch.
It seemed obvious to me, especially Drew, because he's also a press guy with this enormous polka-dotted bow tie. I felt like he was obvious, but apparently it wasn't.
No.
But What can you do?
So,
Best laid plans and all that,
yeah.
right?
So then Matt ended up having to work for the next like 2 or 3
Yeah.
two
unfortunately.
Halloweens, I think, that we were married. So I just re-wore some of my costumes. I was a Hurl one year and then Supergirl the next year. And then the year after that, we started really joking around that we were Gomez and Morticia Addams. And that was the year we were pregnant with our son. So we did the Addams family. We were Gomez and Morticia Addams.
Which wasn't a stretch.
It's really not.
No.
I actually now, my dad's family is really big, and so when you go, you write your name on like your cup, and I always write Morticia on it, and everybody knows it's mine. And then the next year, of course, was our son's first Halloween, and we made a deal. If we had a boy, we would do the Star Trek theme again and get him a Star Trek onesie. And if it was a girl, we would do something different, and she would be a jack-o'-lantern, a pumpkin. Well, he won.
I won, yes. It was a competition, and I won.
Yeah, and I mean, he ordered Callum's Halloween costume in like June. He was so excited.
Yeah. And I had to plan ahead for that, too, because I had to figure, okay, how old is he going to be?
Yeah.
So how big is he going to be? Make sure
What
you get
size
the right
does
size.
he need? Because, in baby sizes, even if you get what they're supposed to be, a lot of times it's going to be small. You need to buy the next size up.
And I think I barely got it right, because that thing was still a little bit snug on him
Yeah.
by the time Halloween night rolled around.
But he was adorable.
Of course he was.
And his was blue.
yeah.
Because Matt was Kirk and I was Ahura, so he had the little blue Spock uniform.
Yep, little Spock.
And then last year, our son's second Halloween, we did the Addams Family again, and I bought a little gray bodysuit, and I cut out a little spider out of felt and glued it on there, and I took eyeliner and drew a mustache on him, and we gelled his hair, and he was Pubert Addams, not Pugsley, but Pubert from the movie The Addams Family Values.
Well, fun fact for you on that one, the picture of our podcast,
Yes.
the cover for this is actually that
That
very
was last
picture
year.
of us. Yep. That was taken at Fried on Franklin.
Yes, in downtown Clarksville.
Yep, that was a good time. It was cold, but it was a good time.
And if you're hearing background noise, our son fell asleep on the couch, and I think he's like rolling over some wrapper or something that must be on the couch. He's still asleep right now, but he moves around a lot in his sleep. And so this year, what we're going to be is I'm going to be Sarah Sanderson from Hocus Pocus. I don't know if you've been around to Spirit Halloween, but they last year came out with the Sanderson sisters costumes, and this year they actually have a Billy Butcherson costume, which Matt is going to be Billy Butcherson, but I think we're going to make our own because he has a trench coat, and I think we're just going to use the trench coat for that. It's something he doesn't really wear anymore, so.
Need to find some time to really sit down and plan this out, how that's going to work. The hard part's going to be stitching my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll skip that part. We'll
We
cut right to the part where I've already...
just draw that on.
Maybe just cut right to the part where I've already cut the stitches and called Bette Midler a witch.
And then our son, we thought about making him be the book, but I decided to let him pick his own costume this year, and so he's picked one. It's actually a dragon, but he thinks it's a dinosaur, so we're going with it. But it's one of those little costumes where you stick the feet in and it's got like the tail and the wings and the head.
Yeah, nobody tell him that it's not a dinosaur. It is a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he loves it. He was so excited when he saw it that we just had to get it.
It was, yeah, there was no way around that one. I wasn't there, but once I saw it, I knew that one was a foregone conclusion.
Yes. But who knows what the future will hold as far as costumes go for us. I'm hoping that someday my dream would be that we would have 2 little boys and a little girl and we could do the whole Addams Family thing. I think it's really neat when people do like the Wizard of Oz and they have everybody dressed up.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's one of my favorites. I love the superheroes. I've seen families be like the whole Justice League. Mom and dad are dressed up as well. I think that's cute.
That would be interesting, visualizing that in my head right now.
I've seen a lot of families that have 2 little boys. One's been Batman, one's been the Joker.
Cool.
So I'm trying to think what are some of my other favorites.
Other costumes that you'd like to do?
Well, just costumes that I like to see.
We could always do the Munsters sometime.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, I'd be doing most of the work in that costume. Really. I'll be painting myself all green and giving myself a flat top.
Yep.
All you have to do is wear that nightgown.
My hair is long enough.
Yeah. Now, maybe by then Cal would cooperate with us enough that we could give him the widow's peak that he would need.
Maybe. I don't know.
One year, I think before we were dating, I actually did a costume where I gave myself these horns. I actually attached them to my forehead and put like makeup around them so that they looked seamless, like they were literally extending out of my head. And I gave myself a cape and I wore all black, so it looked similar to Dracula. And I bought this thing. It was a cane with this skull in the front, and then the skull was shaped kind of oblong looking, sort of like one of the aliens from the Alien series. And so I could carry that around just like a cane. I called myself a pimp from hell.
Charming.
I guess it's good I did that before we started dating. Another one I'm a fan of just for the sheer creativity of it, because I couldn't really come up with a really clever costume idea, so I just took some face paint and some sort of a congealed blood replicant, whatever you want to call it, and sort of make up my face up where it looked like the right side of my face had been peeled off and you could see the skull underneath. And all I wore with that was just regular clothes, except that my t-shirt said "Slap me some skin." I thought that was ingenious myself.
That was creative.
I think that gets some kudos.
Sure, honey.
Sure.
All right, well, I think that's about all we have for this topic. If you guys have seen any other costumes that we didn't mention, I'm sure you have, that you thought were really cool, please let us know. Comment on our page on Facebook, facebook.com/Schorr Manor. And we hope that you guys have a fun and safe Halloween.
Absolutely.
We hope you've got your costumes ready to go, because it's always better to have that done sooner rather than later.
It's true, because they might sell out. You don't
Right,
want that to happen.
The interesting thing about this costume, if there's any girls out there that are looking at this, Sarah Sanderson costume is layered underneath. It's really neat. I can tell it's going to be a very warm costume, which I have a custom-made cape to go over it anyway. But I told Matt it reminded me of putting on my wedding dress because there were so many layers underneath it. But it was actually the last one in my size they had at Spirit, and this was in August, like the end of August when they opened.
When we went to Spirit, that's where I almost ruined Halloween forever for Callum. He was looking at all the props. We're having a great time. He looked at so many other things that I thought most people would consider super frightening and scary, like there's this giant were-yeti that he reached out and petted over at Big Lots. And I think there was something else equally frightening at like Michael's and then Lowe's and Home Depot that he wasn't even the least bit afraid of. So I'm just walking over to this haunted house display that they've got. I said, "Oh, look, they've got a dog house here." I wheeled him right in front of it, and then this red-eyed, glowing, drooling hound from hell just bursts forth out of the house and terrifies him, and he just screams bloody murder, and I just realized, oh my gosh, I have really messed up right now.
Right, and the thing about this is, if you've ever been to Spirit, you know they have those yellow step here signs, and there was one on it, so it's not like he didn't know something was coming out.
I knew it would come out. I guess I just didn't realize how startling it would be for Callum. Looking back now, I can realize how stupid that was, but at the time, I was just blissfully ignorant that anything would bother him because nothing had yet. So, yeah, so I learned a hard lesson that day. But everyone assures me he's fine. I hope he's fine. Is he?
He seems okay right now, but his new phrase is, "It's scary, Mommy. It's scary." So...
Oh, we think that's my fault?
Make of that what you will.
Okay.
All I'm saying is he wasn't saying it before.
That's true. You're right. I can't argue with that. I wish I could, though.
All right, guys. Well, as we like to say, stay tuned next week for our next podcast. And if you want to see pictures of us in these costumes, go over to facebook.com/Schorr Manor. And you can see them by every year. We have pictures of us in our costumes. And so, as we like to say here at Schorr Manor, happy haunting.